Hello techies and techettes, welcome to another video here on Tim's Tech Corner. Today we're going to go ahead and take a look at not an Android device, but rather an Android accessory. Now if you've been watching some of my videos in the past, you'll know I've done some videos on Bluetooth keyboards. And today we're going to take a look at another Android accessory called the Sony Smartwatch. This is the Sony MN02, which I believe is their second generation. They're going to have a third coming out. They've had one before this that I don't think was quite as fancy. This watch is currently paired with an HTC Resound running Infection 2.5. I'm probably going to take it up to Infection 2.91 this weekend. This is a Jelly Bean ROM. That does matter because there are some people that have had issues with the smartwatch and Jelly Bean. I've received some people saying that on some phones the Bluetooth actually goes into a deep sleep if not used for a little while, and that can kind of affect communications with the watch. So, a little bit about this device over here. It is a smartwatch. It connects to your tablet or phone or Android device via Bluetooth, and it can be activated by a button on the side over here, this right side. And there are various watch faces that you can pick. You pick them from on the phone itself. Some will stay on permanently. Some will stay on based on the orientation. And some you actually have to tap. Now the stay-on ones are notorious for killing the battery. Currently, even though the firmware is available and Sony has made this device essentially quote-unquote hackable, the issue is Sony has not allowed you to change the watch face on here. They basically want you to kind of avoid the battery draining full-on displays. This particular display is a tap one, so it's not that battery draining. I used a slight variation on it. You'll see actually there's a notification. I wonder if it'll pop up. See, now occasionally this thing likes to not be that sensitive to the touches. It's supposed to take a double tap, and you can see it's not registering over here. Now what I like to do to fix that, since we'll go into that since it's happening, I have a smart app on here called Smart Alarm. So what I like to do to fix it is I go over here to my notifications and I go to Smartwatch. Go to Applications, and I come all the way down to the bottom to Smart Alarm, which is disabled. I enable it. I go into the settings. I turn the alarm on, back it out, go back, turn the alarm off, turn the Smart Alarm app off, back out of the smartwatch, and now this should react properly. There we go. Could have been that I was maybe not hitting it firm enough before. This little watch stand that I've got it in now is sliding along over there. So, let's talk a little bit about what the smartwatch does. Well, it communicates to your paired device via Bluetooth. Now, if you notice, Bluetooth is lit up over here. The only reason it's lit up is because it's communicating to this little HDMX jam speaker down here. However, if you did not have another Bluetooth device running, what will happen is the Bluetooth indicator over there will be gray. It's not actually an active connection. It's sort of a semi-active connection. Even if the two devices are near each other and are in range, you will not see the Bluetooth indicator lit up, but they are paired and they are communicating. Now, you might be wondering, hey, wait a minute. If this watch communicates over Bluetooth, what's really the purpose of this thing? Why have a watch that has to be, you're wearing the watch in some capacity over here. If it's Bluetooth, the phone can't be that far away. Why is it you're going to use this device to get a notification or do something that you can't use the phone to do, when the phone's probably going to be within about 5 feet of you, maybe 10? Well, there are some people who do run jobs where they can't have a phone out, where they're not allowed to work with the phone or have it visible. So the watch kind of gets around that. Nobody's going to yell at you for looking at your watch. So let's say you get a text notification from the wife that says pick up milk on the way home, but you're at a job where you can't have your phone out, or it's in a bad work or social situation where, plinking away on the phone, responding to a text might look bad. This watch gets around that. I actually do have a friend that works in retail that is not allowed to do anything with his phone except on his breaks. Now, if he kept the phone in his pocket and he got a text message, he could read it on the watch. And that's where this is handy. You're going to be able to respond to it? No. There's not really a keyboard for this. You can't tap the message and then get up a little keyboard. Because, look, here's a finger, all right? Look at how much one finger occupies of this screen. So this finger's touching the screen, and look at that. Like, how would you get a keyboard in there? So that would be next to impossible. So here's a watch face for it, and if you scroll one way, you get these are the applications, and then there are other scrolls that you can get to go through the applications over here. And alright, here's an app that I launched by accident. It's called Watch It. No, I'm sorry, actually this is a viewfinder. Basically what this app did is it actually activated the camera on my phone. So this is a spy cam app. And you want to talk about Maxwell Smart over here. That's kind of neat. I didn't plan to get into that right now. But there it is. There's viewfinder. I wanted to go ahead and get into the widgets. There we go. Okay. So here's an example of something you could do. This has widgets just like Android. That's the weather widget. And you can see now my phone's back to normal now that the camera's off. So we'll touch upon some of the more interesting ones a little bit later. Now the capacity that I use this particular device, I don't actually use it as a watch. I have this clip to my lanyard that's around my neck at work that has my key card, my security card. And I keep it up there, and if I want to maybe look at the time or look at the notification of something, because this is docked at my desk, but sometimes I have it off because my firewall is rather restrictive. So I will turn on the Wi-Fi tethering on this and maybe have a tablet connected to it to get me around their crappy ass firewall that blocks just about everything under the sun. So, I might have that off, and if I get a notification like a text or a friendcaster thing, it'll display over here. So that's where this is handy. And, I do know of several people who just can't have a phone out. Or say you're in a meeting. Say you're in a meeting and you get a notification. Well, here is something you can do that's kind of interesting for a meeting. If we turn this on, so say you're wearing this as a watch, and you're in a meeting, and here's now we're working on the weather thing. If you do a pinch, it takes you back up. So a pinch is an up. So say you're in a meeting, you can go through the apps over here, and I have one that changes the phone mode. There it is. I think that's what, yeah, mode changer. By hitting that particular little app, it cycles through my phone going to normal mode, vibrate mode, and completely silent. So I can have the phone in a pocket or in a holster, walk into a meeting, and without ever pulling it out, use my watch to go ahead and silence the phone. Now, say if a notification comes in, I can just glance at my watch and never pick the phone out, which might be embarrassing in a corporate meeting or something like that. So even though the range comes into play with Bluetooth range over here, you're not really going to be around the hall from it, it's still pretty handily because, there's more social situations where you could look at your watch than you can your phone. Yes, this does vibrate. It actually vibrates rather loudly. It's funny, you think it's got a really strong haptic feedback when you hear it, but it's not. Like, it doesn't really vibrate that much in terms of physically, but it makes kind of like a 2 or 3 flock of wasp sound. It's like a buzz, and so I mean it's relatively noticeable. So some of the things I'm going to go through that are on this watch over here that I found nifty. Um, this was like a cork. I got a few apps, and then 1 or 2 apps just led to a flood of finding out all these, dozens upon dozens of smartwatch apps out there. So now for the clocks, you'll see here there are different clock faces. Each one does different things. So for example, these first couple, like the digital and this one, will say battery efficient, double tap it to pop it up. Here's my current one. I was using this round green one for a little while. You can't change any of this, unfortunately. So if you want square, you got to go blue. If you want round, you're going to get green. So these are all the double tap ones. Double tap. This one says displayed as long as it detects movement. So this one's a little bit more, and notice it doesn't say battery consuming anymore. Turn the watch towards you on the horizontal arm to read the time. So it's got a pretty good motion sense in here, and I could swear there was, displayed as long as it detects movement. There isn't a permanently on one, but there is one that if it's got a little bit of movement, it's on. So battery life comes into play. Also, if you think about it, battery life comes into play on the paired device because you're going to be running Bluetooth the entire time. Not quite as active as, say, like speakers or something, but you still have it on. So it'll come with some apps like Twitter and Facebook, Missed Call, the phone book, a sports tracker, news events. Now here's Mode Changer. I loaded that one. That's the one that allows me to go from silent to vibrate to normal. Messaging, weather, a Gmail checker, call handling. You can hang up and see stuff about calls right there on your watch. So say you have your phone clipped to your, belt or in a pocket or something and it rings. Hell, you can just come over here and look on the watch itself to see who's calling without ever pulling the thing out. And if you have your phone silenced, there you go. Because it's a lot easier to play off a vibration from a watch. It can be like, an alarm, a chime, or something. Find phone. This, if you hit it on the watch, will make the phone do its default ringtone. So if you've lost your phone, you can go ahead and pull the app up over here, and I'll show that one. V-Finder, we've seen that. That's what turns your phone into a spy cam. Watch It basically is an app that allows you to define what toasts and notifications are showing up on the watch. So this is kind of good if you don't have a dedicated app for something. Like Friendcaster, Facebook and Twitter have an app directly for the watch, but Friendcaster doesn't. So what you can do is watch it. It popped up there real. See here on Watch It, I can define what things I want to display on the actual watch over here. Countdown is just a countdown timer. Augmented smartwatch is another one that will allow you to define several apps and what they do. You can show the battery status, you can show a Wi-Fi signal, you can show your missed calls, some weather options like the update frequency and your metrics and everything like that. Display as a widget, notify whether you want vibration, stuff like that. Smart alarm. Smart alarm is similar to some other Android apps that are out there that you can put on your bed and have it do sleep tracking. Supposedly what Smart Alarm does is it does it for this, where you can put this on your bed, and because it has motion sense technology in it, it can change the way the alarm runs. I keep it off because I think it's interfered pretty badly with the motion sensing on there. And music player control. So now that's just some of the apps that I have. Okay, so let's take a look at the watch itself. We're going to go ahead and pop the button on because we don't want to mess around it. And if I swipe, here we go. Here's some apps list. Now, the weather, we know what that's like. Gmail will display a little bit about your messages, news events, calendar, your music handler, and find phone. Let's show you this one. So if I go to find phone and I hit the check, see, there you go. And you do phone detected and it comes right back. Countdown, we don't need to do that. So here's an example of some of the stuff that you can do on there. We've done viewfinder, you have the battery level, the watch appear, you have the time, you have a little bit of a display as to what page you're on, and if you pinch, you'll go back up from the actual applications to the widgets, and the pinch will change the mode, and there's the weather. So that's what a Bluetooth enabled smartwatch is like. This is the Sony MN02. It's paired with an HTC Resound running Jelly Bean. I am the one they call Neo's Infection 2.5. We'll see what happens when I take it up to 2.9 sometime this weekend, which is supposedly a blazing fast ROM. So, and one thing I'll show you, well, might be a little hard to show. You get this little USB cable here. If I can find out. There it is. This is the cable that comes with this. You hook this up via USB, and you can hook it up to a PC and run an app from Sony that will allow you to do firmware updates. If this thing ever gets stuck, you hold the power button down for about 30 seconds and it will reset. And if it gets stuck in the loading bars, the 3 bars, you can just go ahead, get the utility, and tell it to flash the latest firmware, and it'll get you out of the boot loop. Now, if you go ahead and hold the button down from the screen being lit up, you will tell the phone to shut off. If the watch, if the watch is completely off and you hold the button down for about 15 seconds, you'll get it to turn on. If you have outranged your phone or your Android device that it's paired with and it doesn't immediately connect back up, here's a little trick that I like to do for it. I go to the phone and I turn Bluetooth off. I go to the watch and I turn it off by holding the power button for 10 seconds. Back on the phone, turn Bluetooth on, wait for it to come set about 5 seconds, turn the watch back on very, very closely to the phone, and then they usually talk and pair up. So there you go. There's a Sony MN02, a Bluetooth enabled smartwatch. And it's pretty handy. I mean, again, a cynic is going to say, well, if the two have to be so close to each other for Bluetooth to work, what is really the point? But I hope I was able to go ahead and highlight some of the reasons or some of the abilities that the watch will give you. And there's tons and tons and tons of apps out there that do a lot of great and fancy things with it. So hope you enjoyed the video. Take care.